Welcome to this cinematography, lighting and color grading breakdown. I'm going to play a little clip from a short film I shot recently, something I shot on my own, one-man band, just me and the actors. I'm going to break down exactly how I created this kind of moody daytime vibe using really minimal equipment, thinking about post-production in advance so that when you take the footage into editing and into color grading, you've got a really good foundation to work from. You're not trying to fix things in post. And I think some really useful tips in this video, so let me just play a little clip and then we'll get into it.
Why are you doing this?
Because I can. Because seeing you lose everything somehow fills me with joy. You know, I might just have to pop and see Martin. Must be getting lonely since he divorced you. You bitch!
Alright, so we're going to take a look at this frame here. Before we get into Premiere and start looking at all the tech stuff, you know, how to do the grading, etc, etc, I want to talk about basically how I get stuff right in camera. So what you'll notice with this image is we've got the camera facing that way, and on this side of the actress we've got the shadow on this side here, camera side, and then we've got the highlight on this side, opposite side of the camera. And that has been set up on this location intentionally. I thought about exactly how I was going to achieve this on set so that I got that kind of look in camera and didn't have to try and sort of get that in post, which would be very, very difficult to close to impossible. Now, if you look at a technique called upstage key lighting, what you'll see is it's an incredibly popular way to light stuff. So this is off No Country for Old Men, so you can see camera side, shadow, light on the opposite side. Same if you look at, here's a frame from Inception, shadow on camera side, highlight on opposite sides. Another one, Minority Report, I think it is, no, it's Mission Impossible, shadow on camera side, light on the opposite side. It's a good rule of thumb to follow, you know, why try and reinvent the wheel? So how did I achieve that kind of look in a big wide open location where I've got no crew to help me out? So I did a diagram here and I'll show you exactly how I achieved it. So in the top view here, we're in a forest, there's a path running through, here's the two actresses. I've got the camera on the left hand side of this actor here, and then the sun is passing on the opposite side, on the right hand side of the actress, in that direction. What I had to achieve, because I didn't have people to sort of hold up big flags of negative fill, you know, black material to block light on the camera side, in this location basically the ground is much higher on the camera side, and this was set up intentionally. The ground was much higher and then it falls away like that, and then here's your actress, so you've got your camera facing that away, and then the ground drops off again and it just carries on down. So the trees are much lower down here and the trees are much higher here, and then the sun's over here coming this way, so we're getting more light in this direction, more light hitting the actress on that side, and then what that bank is doing, it's blocking the light from bouncing all over the place and essentially creating a natural shadow on this side of her face that you can see there. So that gives me that upstage key lighting look at no expense. Basically it's, you know, was free to create because I used the surroundings, the natural surroundings, to help me achieve that look. And what that then means when you get into post-production, into grading, is that if we look into Premiere here, so that's the image off the camera, we'll just convert that quickly because this is the log image, so we'll just quickly convert that to Rec 709. So you can see there already, you've already got a natural shadow on camera side, which is what you want for this upstage key lighting principle. And then you've got the light side of the face on the opposite side of the camera. And then all I need to do then, when I'm grading, is just slightly manipulate this to bring it in line with where I want the look to be. I haven't got to do loads and loads of stuff in grading and sort of spend ages trying to get a look that I want. It's close enough, as close as possible as I can get it in camera, which is what I want. So if you look, that's the graded image there. That's the image off camera with Rec 709 LUT applied. So all I've done to get that grade is I've gone up here and I've cooled off the image. I've then dropped the shadows down. Let's get the scopes up like that. I'm counteracting, dropping the shadows down with boosting those highlights. I'm going to bring a bit of contrast in there. I'm going to get my black point. I'm just going to lower that down to about there. Perhaps a bit more on the highlights there. I am going to go into curves. I'm going to grab these greens here in hue versus saturation. I'm going to desaturate those greens, and then I want to do the same on the brightest part of her red on her nose there. I'm just going to grab that, I'm just going to pull some of that out. I want more of a kind of desaturated, like the Netflix series Dark. A lot of modern popular sort of cinematography these days is quite desaturated for this moody type of vibe anyway. So that's what I'm going for. And then finally all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my wheels and I'm just going to drop a bit of cyan into the shadows, and there we get that. So we've gone from that to that in the space of about 1 minute in grading. What I want to try and avoid when I'm doing color grading, whether it be in DaVinci Resolve or in Premiere Pro, I want to avoid having to create loads of different masks and trying to darken off, trying to create basically this contrast ratio in post-production. I don't want to do that. It's never going to look as natural as creating it in camera. You want to get your lighting ratios right in camera, and then in post-production all you're doing is kind of finessing it and tweaking things ever so slightly to stylize it as how you want it basically. But the actual principles and the contrast ratios and lighting, all that stuff is basically been thought about way before I've turned up and even bothered to turn my camera on. This is the kind of key takeaway from this video, I think, is to get it right in camera. What is absolutely true is that if you didn't do this in camera, and let's say for example I'd shot this in a location where it was much more open and there wasn't this big bank here, and let's say it was just flat, then the natural light just would have been a bouncing around, and you would have had as much light on this side and a similar amount of light on this side. And what that would have meant would have been that the actress would have had like sort of that kind of lighting there would have been exactly the same over here. It just would have looked really flat and boring and dull, and you would not be able to achieve that kind of contrast ratio if you're not controlling the light on set, because you're not going to save it in the grade. You can use windows, power windows and stuff until the cows come home, but it's never going to look as natural as you achieving it in camera. Alright, that's the end of this video. If you'd like to see the whole short film, I'll leave a link in the description. Hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll see you on the next one.